guys, this is Kayla.
This is Becky.
And this is the second time we filmed this video because the first time I apparently didn't press record or something happened with our recording.
So here we go again.
So here we go again. Today is weekly wine. Becky, what is our wine?
Our wine is Fieldhouse 301's Pinot Noir. Okay? Pinot Noir. And as you can tell, we've already filmed once. So here we go again.
This is to second glasses.
Yeah. Well, this Pinot Noir has a great fruity taste. Mm-hmm. And you did guess one of them. Yes.
As soon as I sipped it, I was like, black cherries.
Yes, definitely cherry. It's has some tart strawberry, plum.
The plum is the thing that I couldn't think of. That I was like, this tastes like something.
Yeah, it tastes like something. What is that something? But that's what it was. And Fieldhouse is a great little winery. It's based on the celebration of roots. So they said when they bought it, they bought the Fieldhouse first, and it was kind of run down and shacky looking, and then they started bringing things in from the home. They remodeled like their old cabinetry and new doors and different things like that, and said it just became like a place, a home, and so that's what they represent here, is you celebrate your roots. And this particular wine, it pairs well with like grilled salmon. For our vegetarians out there or our vegans, it goes really well with roasted vegetables. It also goes well with mushroom pasta. And I wished I had really read the pairings and things earlier. I would have made some stuffed mushrooms. I've learned to make them, and
they're delicious.
They are, if I do say so myself. And I can see that this wine,
it pairs well with this pepperoni too.
This is true. We have our little charcuterie going on with pepperoni and summer sausage and pastrami and some other little things, but it goes well with a lot of things. And Scout and Cellar is a clean crafted wine. They don't use pesticides. There's no additives to the wine. There's no added sugar or colorings or anything like that. It is strictly, when you taste it, you are tasting the authentic taste of the grape, which is just wonderful. And we have, if you're a new customer, you get 15% off your first order. So, check into this and, check us out and see what you think. And they've got a couple of new wines out there, a new white, a new red. It's earth and song and soil. And it's just, I'm going to order a couple of those bottles this week. So just give us a try and see what you think. Now let's talk about our book, because I chose the wine. I said, what kind of wine would you like? She said, well, this is Riley Sager, so something red and dark and,
Yeah. All right. Hi, guys. So the book of this week is Riley Sager's The Only One Left, and it is my new favorite Riley Sager novel. If you followed us for a while, you know how much I love Riley Sager. You know about my whole emotional roller coaster journey when NetGalley would not give me an early edition of this book, and when Book of the Month didn't get an early edition of this book for me to buy, and then Book of the Month finally got it. And I read it in a weekend. It 100% lived up to the hype. I'm like the world's worst about getting too hyped over a novel and then
have a letdown.
Then being like, well, I guess it was okay.
Yeah.
This was not that. I love Riley Sager. I've read all of his work, and this one's my favorite. That said, this is also the first one I've recommended to you.
Right.
Because Riley Sager he usually does more horror. And this is not, in my opinion, this is not a horror. Book of the Month even calls it a thrills and chills. I would put in the genre of thriller that flirts with horror, because it is a gothic thriller.
Right.
And if you've ever read Ruth Ware's In a Dark, Dark Wood or books like that, it's very similar tone. It's not bloody, it's not gory, there's no ghost that's going to jump out and scare you, but it is thrilling.
Okay, that's good.
So let's get into it. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. So,
Wow.
Okay, I know I just said it's not stabby, okay? It's not, there's
Sounds
not
pretty stabby or something to me.
There's not a lot of blood and gore. Lenora Hope is this coastal town's basically Lizzie Borden. The murder just chanted out happened in 1929, right before the stock market crash, so it didn't get to national news.
Right.
But she is a local legend. Instead of jump roping to the Lizzie Borden chant, they're jump roping to that chant.
Well, bless her heart if she didn't do it.
Yeah, Lenora Hope. So the novel itself takes place in 1983 when my new favorite character, Kit McDear, a home health aide, arrives at the decaying Hope's End mansion up on a cliff where Lenora Hope, now an elderly woman, lives. And Hope's End is just, first of all, a delightful name for a Gothic mansion. Like, you can't get better than that.
Hope's End.
Hope's End. And this mansion is also, a little bit of plot here, the mansion is also slowly decaying and crumbling into the sea because it's built on a cliff, and cliffs erode and crack and crumble. So that is also part of the plot. Wow. But Kit McDear, who has, her own kind of tragic background that somewhat aligns with Lenora, because there's a reason she is sent to take care of Lenora Hope. Okay, nobody else wants her as their home health aide, and that all comes to light in the book.
Well, that sounds interesting.
It's very interesting, and Kit is such a well-written character. We've said before, I know I talked about Riley Sager for a long time, and you thought Riley Sager was a woman.
I thought Riley Sager was a woman.
In fairness, the first book I read of his, which was Home Before Dark, I thought was written by a woman until I flipped to the back flap and there was a guy pictured. But he writes female characters so well, and Kit McDear is written so well. I went to a writers conference this past weekend, and one of the questions they asked the participants was, who's your favorite literary character? And I'm like, Kit McDear! And everybody else says, like, Lady Macbeth, Harry Potter. And I'm like...
Everybody said, who's Kit McDear?
Who's Kit McDear? She's this really well-crafted character. Like I said, she has her own tragic backstory. She has such a good reason for wanting to help and believe Lenora Hope, but also being a little scared of her, obviously.
Sure.
And the interesting thing with Lenora is she was in an accident that paralyzed her. Mm-hmm. So she can only use her left hand. But Kit helps her to use a typewriter to type out parts of her story.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So it's told from their two perspectives. You go from Kit McDear to the pages that Lenora has been writing. And it's just so well crafted. It's, I think, a lot of Gothic thrillers, because they pull a lot from Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. They tend to be more slower paced. This is not slow paced. This is good. No. I read it in a weekend. I couldn't put it down.
Not a lot of sleep that weekend.
Not a lot of sleep that weekend. And I would highly recommend it to anyone. If you've never read a Riley Sager novel, this is the one to start with. Especially if, like you, horror's maybe not your thing. Well, this is a thriller. Like I said, it flirts with horror. There's no blood and gore. It's just a good Gothic thriller, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So
sounds good.
All the stars to Riley Sager for this one, and I can't wait till his next one.
Yeah, great. Sounds good. It'll be my first Riley Sager, so I'm looking forward to reading it.
Yes, and I hope you read it as well, and that you drink some wine with us.
Don't forget, order the bottle of wine, pick up the book.
They pair
well together. So There you go.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a great week.